Welcome, everybody, one more time to another episode here on the SitRep Podcast. I am your host, Oriskany Jim, and we are back at the wargaming table to finish up some unfinished business. That sounded weird. We're here to resolve some unfinished business. How about that? So, we've been doing a little bit of Panzer Leader lately. This will be sort of the end of a trilogy, so to speak. The last in a three-part unintended series, I did not plan it this way, for us to take a look at the Battle of El Guettar in March of 1943. This battle actually took place on March 23rd, 1943. We were right on, dead bang, the 80th anniversary on this 2 Thursdays ago when we built this scenario here on stream, or I built part of it here on stream. And what happened is we came back later on the following Sunday and we started to play this game. We got about a little bit more than halfway through. It's a 10-turn game. We're 5 turns through, but the turns get much faster now because everyone's already engaged. A great many units have already been beaten up. Like it or not, all of your real decisions have already been made in Panzer Leader at this point. Now it's just down to executing against those plans, at least a 2-hour stream. Minimum 2 hours. It might wind up going as high as 3. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. And the reason I wanted to finish this is because this one's too close to call. I honestly can see this one going either way, even now. Sometimes in Panzer Leader, let's face it, you know by the end of turn 5 which way it's going to go. You can read the writing on the wall. You know which way the wind's blowing. This time, dude, it's pretty close. Alright, so I will not go into all of the laborious detail as far as the background goes. If you are interested in like the setup for how this battle gets started, suffice it to say it does not happen the way it does in the 1970 Academy Award-winning film Patton. Everything in that movie is wrong, or at least vis-a-vis the Battle of El Guettar. It's not even close. So just discard that whole notion. But if you want to check it out, there's a link to part 1 in the description of this video. Hit the link. We go over the general outlook of how North Africa was looking in the early spring of 1943. We look at the exact setup, the operational scale setup for what's going on between 5th Panzer Army and British 1st Army, of which US 2nd Corps is a part, and the decisions faced by Patton as he gets counterattacked by elements of German 10th Panzer Division, and the decision that Patton has to make where to defend either the McNasty Pass or the El Guettar Pass, and all the fallout that comes from those decisions. And yeah, so like I said, if you're interested in this in the background, we go into it in pretty good detail in our previous streams, both on Sunday and on the previous Thursday. We also went over how we built this scenario super fast, so again, I'm not going to go into all the detail again, but as you can see, this started off as a pretty beefy game. This was not a small one by any stretch of the imagination. We go over the size of the table, how many hundreds of 50mm tables you would need to do this. It's a lot. Super fast, just as I forgot. We are looking at 45 by 25. Yeah, you need about, say about 3/4 of that times 0.75. You need about 800 15mm tables to put this on to really do this in true scale. So needless to say, we use Panzer Blitz / Panzer Leader / Arab-Israeli Wars. They're kind of three different editions of the same game. The scale, depending on how you want to look at it, it's a virtual game, so really the scale is kind of a moot point. But if you wanted to get technical about it, if you're going to print this board out and each hex was an inch across, the scale would be 1 to 10,000. But yeah, we go over all these details in previous streams, so I will not. We got a lot of gaming to do tonight, so we won't get into it. This was the setup at the beginning of turn 1. The Germans have their setup area. We have the front end of German 10th Panzer Division and the front end of 131st Centauro Italian Armored Division, and we are going to try and get through this pass. There are 5 objective hexes on the table. 1 here, 2 there, 3 there, The fourth one is here. Where is the fifth one? Oh, the fifth one is up here on this ridge. Long story short, take your first shot. The Axis has to basically break away through this pass or outflank it somehow, take the high ground. In game terms, you need 3 out of those 5 objective Axes. Right now, of course, the Americans hold all of them. We have a reinforced battalion of 26th US Infantry Regiment. That's part of, everything here is pretty much part of Big Red 1, US 1st Infantry, 2nd Corps. So we've got elements of 26th Infantry Regiment up here. That's pretty much their operational area here. And we've got elements, we've got pretty much the main body, but they have been in combat, so they're slightly under strength, of 3rd of the 18th and 3rd of the 16th. So you've got all 3 infantry regiments of 1st U.S. Infantry Big Red 1 represented here, at least in some degree or another. There's also 1st Ranger Battalion down here, and some attached units from at least Division, if not Corps Command. I know 601st Tank Destroyer Battalion was sort of an integral part of 1st Infantry Division at this time. Later on in the game, 899th shows up. You can tell by the numbers, and again, we go into that in previous editions of this show, previous streams. Of 601st is integral, 899th might be assigned from Corps or some other level of command. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they do come from different levels of command. You can tell by the number. So 601st is pretty much attached, permanent fixture to 1st U.S. Infantry at this time. 899th comes in later, and I think that gets attached from perhaps 2nd Corps, or I'm not 100% on that. But they show up, long story short, take your second shot, they show up at the beginning of turn 4. So we had turn 1, where the Germans began their advance. You saw where the Americans got some direct lines of sight with some self-propelled howitzers. I call it that. Self-propelled field guns. I said self-propelled howitzers. You might have thought I was talking about M7s. Nope, we're talking about these things because we didn't have that many M7s at the time. What few we had, a great number had been distributed through Lend-Lease, and so a lot of divisions in the U.S. Army was surprisingly light on things like M7s, M10s, howitzer motor carriages, gun motor carriages, things like that. So the Americans have to do with what they have. We also have, this is what they had instead of M10s. They had the M6 Fargo, this poor thing. It's basically a pickup truck with a 37mm anti-tank gun bolted to the back. It's basically a technical. In modern terms, we would call this a technical. If we saw this thing buzzing around Libya or Syria, we would call it a technical. This was the backbone of American tank destroyer defense at El Guettar in March of '43. Now, much better tank destroyers do show up later in the game, but clearly the Americans are pretty badly outgunned. The Germans have Panzerkampfwagen Mark IV Gs. There were a few Gs there. F2s, a crap ton of Mark IIIs, specials, and even some Mark IIs, and so on and so forth. The Italians are coming up here with their Semoventes and their crappy little M41s. Yeah. So this was the initial advance. The Italians tried to screen their advance with some smoke screens. The Germans kind of came straight in. Again, the Americans did get some lines of sight, and with some of the German units still in trucks or light half-tracks, like Hanomag, stuff like that, they started getting some kills and a few kills, but mostly dispersals right off the bat. Turn 2, contact is made proper, and the Germans hit the American line decently hard. Americans are subjected to some off-board artillery that the Germans have. I can't remember I can look it up in just a second here. Okay, suddenly my mouse wheel decided to stop working. I did have this. I suppose it doesn't really matter. But just because I am anal retentive. 4th Battalion, 90th Artillery Regiment. Part of, an integral part of 10th Panzer Division. It is so bizarre. My spin wheel suddenly stopped working on my mouse. I officially need a new mouse. Something I've suspected for a while. Okay, and the Italians started doing really well up here, believe it or not. They caved it in up here on the 26th Infantry. I may have made the 26th Infantry a little too weak. I only really gave them 1 battalion and a scattering of regimental support assets. So I know the whole 26th wasn't here, but by putting them with only one battalion's worth of stuff here along these two northeastern ridges, I may have made them a little underpowered, and the Italians smell blood in the water. So you can see where they're doing some overruns, and they're doing pretty well. Turn 3, the Germans make physical contact with the American line right down here. We have a lot of American anti-tank fire. Again, those are those crappy little Fargos that I was talking about before. Doing their best. I mean, 37 millimeter guns. These are 150 meter hexes. I do admit this map is a little compressed, but in game terms, we're talking about 600 meters range with a 37 millimeter gun against German mid-war armor, like Mark IVs, like the upgraded Mark IVs, the F2s and the Gs. You're not going to do too much damage. So the Germans start like this daisy chain of multiple overruns. You go after a stack with, you go after a hex with 3 units in your stack, you overrun with the first one, you destroy it, and then you kind of carry through with your other 2 units, they overrun the next hex. You carry through with your 3rd unit and you overrun. You're allowed to do that in Panzer Leader, especially if the units that are facing you are kind of weak. The Germans are taking pretty steep losses though, because they're being pretty audacious in their attack, and the Americans do have some pretty decent off-board artillery fire, on-board artillery fire in the form of mortars, and again, some motor carried howitzers, both PAC 75s and field gun 75s, that's the T-19 and the T-30 respectively. So there's the T-30 with the PAC 75, that's the PAC howitzer 75. And there are some, of course not be able to find it now. Yeah, let me not slow down the stream. You guys know what I'm talking about. They're in here somewhere. Oh, here we go. This might be it. Yeah, there we go. The M3 gun motor carriage. That's really the T-19 is what I should have said. Although, no, that's the 57 millimeter anti-tank gun. All right, somewhere on here, there's a 75 millimeter actual field howitzer on an M3 chassis. A lot of American fire support, quote, armored fire support in this stage of the war, were these kit-bashed half-tracks with either 37 millimeter anti-tank, well, no 37s. The 37s were on the trucks. With either 57 millimeter anti-tank guns, the 75 millimeter PAC guns, or the 75 millimeter actual field howitzers. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. Turn 4, things started to get like literally bloody. Up here at the far upper right, you start to see the American casualties. Over here you see the Axis casualties. Again, these trucks don't count, but looking at this little unit here, if you see that highlighted, and then this pile of units here, everything in there is a platoon or a battery, or so it's five tanks, say 50 men, or 4 to 6 guns. So you're looking at the Americans have so far lost in this little snapshot here 22 counters, so say 10 bolt action armies. Whole armies have already been wiped off the table here. Either 10 bolt action armies, or maybe 3 or maybe 2 Flames of War armies. And the Germans and the Italians have suffered similarly. The problem is the Germans are actually starting to make some progress. However, you'll notice this, we're now on turn 4, some of these M10s are now on the table. And 899th Tank Destroyer Battalion has arrived. So that's going to be some of these M10s here. These are very powerful weapons. The problem is they are lightly armored. Notice their defense factor is only a 6, and they're open-topped vehicles in real life. So Panzer Leader sort of accounts for that by giving it a very low, a decently low defense factor. Just consider them glass cannons. They're fast, they hit very, very hard, they have a nice range. They are easily the match of anything on the as far as guns go on the German table. In fact, they're probably superior even to the Mark IVs, the upgraded Mark IV specials, either the F2 or the G. They both have a 14A class attack factor, but I think the German weapons only have a range of 8. So these are the improved 76mm M1 guns, later to be upgraded to the M1A1. M1 76mm guns that you would see on things like the Sherman Jumbo and the Sherman EZ-8. We're not quite there yet, but on these big tank destroyers, we're getting close. And now that they've showed up, I'm anticipating that the shift of power is going to, or the balance of power is going to shift a little bit, and I certainly hope so, because the 26th Infantry is about ready to cave in here. All right, here we are at the end of turn 5, and yeah, sure enough, guess what? The 26th Infantry is basically gone. American airstrikes have come in, German airstrikes have come in. I know I rail against that all the time, and I stick to my guns on that. I typically hate it when both sides think they can bring air power on the table. People really need to stop doing that in tabletop games. One side or the other has air superiority, and you don't send in bombers in that case. This is one of the exceptions that proves the rule. We did look it up. We do have the research. We do have the primary source material. In other words, not Wikipedia, not a YouTube channel, not some derpy guy on YouTube who thinks he knows a lot about history, but actual primary sources. Both sides did have aircraft on the day, P-47s, or I chose P-47s. It could have been something else, but I chose P-47s, and the Germans had a handful of HE-111s. So there were some rules about how the American P-47s could counter or cancel one of the German HE-111 strikes, but then that would mean that the Americans did not have access to that P-47 strike, and these are P-47s with bombs, by the way. This is long before the 5-inch rockets started to come into play. So, yeah, the Americans chose to put one aircraft on countering an HE-111. There's a lot of American 50 cals on the table, AA mounts. We chased away one of the HE-111s, so one of them chased off by a fighter, one chased off by 50 cals, one remains. He did some bombing, he did some damage. Meanwhile, the Americans still have 2 airstrikes left, and so far they've only used the machine guns. So their P-47s are still ready to go with bombs. So we'll see how that goes. All right, we will now copy it real quick to turn 6 and kick this pig. All right, beginning of turn 6. There we go. I got through all the preamble in about less than 20 minutes. All right, cool. That's probably a world record for me. All right, turn 6, we begin with German artillery call, or calling in new German artillery for next turn. I gotta remember what the hell I do with German artillery. Okay, there it is. Now, again, in Panzer Leader, you have to call your artillery in a turn in advance. I should note that the Italians also have some artillery on the table. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, where the hell is my number 3? All right. Just in case this overrun doesn't work. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call it in all here. Oh, by the way, here is that T-19 I was looking for before. The 75mm field howitzer on the back of a M3 half-track. Alrighty. So what are the Italians going to do with their artillery? What can the Italians see? I'll call it in there. Okay, artillery request phase is done. Now we're going to do resolve past turns artillery. Now the way you normally do this in Panzer Leader for people who play this live, clearly what you do is you, you can't always, what you do here is you have to call in your artillery a turn in advance, and then hope that your opponent is still there next turn, or you can pin them down and finish them off with artillery or who knows what. You fire at fixed positions. Basically, you have to guess where the enemy's going to be next turn, and then hit them with artillery. You don't tell them where the artillery is coming. You write it down on a slip of paper, and you flip it over, and you reveal it at the beginning of next turn. So it's not like artillery in most games, which I don't like, where it's like instantaneous. You literally play finger of God. You point at a hex or you point at a miniature on the table, you say, I'm hitting that. I'm so sorry, that's just not how direct fire works, or indirect fire works. Especially on this scale. On smaller scale games, where it's a kind of a WYSIWYG miniature game, you know, one figure equals one tank or whatever, or one tank equals, you know, one actual tank. If it's something like that, like Valor Victory does that on a smaller echelon scale, that's cool. But up here on this scale, that should take some time, because you're calling back to regiment at least, and you are calling in at least, like here, the American fire mission is going to be 3 batteries. You're calling in a full, now each battery is technically a company in the command scale, so you're talking about a battalion's worth of artillery. 3 Flames of War armies worth of just artillery is landing on you all at once. That takes a little bit of time to organize. Alright, so let's go ahead and this unit's destroyed from before. Let me get rid of that before I get confused. It's just kind of hanging out there. Alright, so the Germans have called in their artillery for next turn. Now let's resolve the artillery that landed, or that's landing now, that we called in the previous turn, and that is right here on number 2. So the Germans have, let me refresh myself before I screw this up again, because I screwed up their artillery last time. They have a battery of 15 centimeter guns, a battery, again, battery of 10.5 centimeter guns, battery of 15 centimeter guns. I got a total of 23 points on the attack. I'm going to add some mortars to that. I think just the one 81 millimeter mortar battery is all I have. For anyone who might ask, the 5 centimeter mortars that the German infantry had, that's baked into the platoons. That's a company level weapon. Okay, so I got 26 total points. 10 plus 13 plus 3 is 26 total points. It all just landed right here. That's pretty much automatic, because I got plenty of units that can still see it. Any unit except for an empty truck can call in artillery, because again, everything here is a platoon. And in every platoon, there's at least one officer. So I got plenty of officers with eyes on that target. Boom, it lands. All right, great. 26 points lands on these poor schmucks. All kinds of bad things are going to happen here. Okay, first of all, 26 points, and now it lands on everything there individually. So 26 points lands on, let's get the easy one first, that 50 cal. 26 divided by 2 is 13 to 1. Even with the improved position, you cannot beat a 13 to 1. I literally have to roll an 11 or higher on a single d6 for him to survive. Yeet! You're out of here. Don't even need to pick up a dice. Next, 26 versus 6 is 4 to 1. Now this I have to roll. He might actually survive that. Because he's in an improved position, the Germans have to add 2 to their attack roll, and low rolls are better. So here we go. Again, 4 to 1. 3 becomes a 5, he survives, but he is pinned down. This M10 is in probably even better shape. He is going to roll with, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to slightly cheese here for the Germans. Yes, I am definitely going to, give me a second here. Although, no, I can't do that because that would screw up the odds column. Never mind, the Germans are committed. Oh my God, the Germans might get destroyed here. Oh well. All right, so 26 again versus 6, except that's an armored target. I have to divide my attack factor in 2, so it now becomes 13 divided by 26 divided by 2 is 13. 13 divided by 6, 2 to 1 odds. Add 2 to the die roll. I'm hoping for a dispersal or a pin down, whatever you want to call it. 3 becomes a 5. Yes, he is barely pinned. All right, so the artillery mission has done its work. The problem is, what I should have done is I should have held back with at least, do I have another mortar? Please tell me I have another mortar in here somewhere. I don't think I do. The Germans had a 120 millimeter mortar, but it was destroyed earlier in the game. I really could use a smoke screen right there in 1316. I could use a smoke screen right there. But I did not have it. I did not have it, Captain. Maybe I can pin down some of that stuff with... Because what's going to happen here, guys, I'm going to launch this overrun, and they're going to catch all kinds of opportunity fire from up on that hill. Okay. So nothing much is going on there. All right. That's the end of the artillery resolution phase. I now go to the air phase. There is aircraft on the table now. German aircraft, what are we going to do? German aircraft, what are we going to do? They've dropped their bombs, but they still have all their machine guns. Ooh. I can't do anything against the M10s, but I can thin out these gun motor carriages. The problem is I am still coming into the teeth of, remember he's destroyed, I am still coming into the teeth of some anti-aircraft fire. So I did destroy one of them, but there's still one left. There's 8 anti-aircraft fire points coming at the Americans, or I'm sorry, at the Germans. I'm going to try to shoot down or chase off. I doubt I'll shoot them down. I might. One of the HE-111s. So I go here to the anti-aircraft table, and I find out how many points I have. I know I have 8, so I find the appropriate column. I roll a D6 and roll as low as I can. So it's one battery or section of 50 cals shooting at, there's 2 counters there, so that's 2 times 2. That's shooting at 4 HE-111s. I doubt I'm going to do very much, but you never know. A 2. A 2 is damaged. All right, so I did damage one of them. He's going to go ahead and execute his attack per the rules, but after that, he's chased off the table. Right now, my scroll bar is kind of working again. All right, so, all right, let's go ahead and do our attack. First, I've got 4 points against 2 points. Again, I'm shooting at the unarmored, the trucks, the flatbed, open-backed trucks of the M6 Fargos. So my 4 I-class on my HE-111s, they do not divide. Or actually, an I-class attack in this day and age is illegal against armored targets, so I can't attack the M10s. I have to attack an unarmored target. So, long story short, take your 3rd shot. You're all going to get smashed by the end of the stream. By the way, I do not suggest that you take a shot every time I say long story short. You will be dead. So, not recommended. Anyway, 4 versus 2, 2-to-1 odds. 1. Killed him. Kaboom. Yeet. Don't look now, but you did. Alright, I'll get to the smoke in a little bit. And now this one. Same thing, 2-to-1. That 4 versus that 2. 5. He is only dispersed. So we destroyed 1 unit back here, and 1 unit in here. All right, and now 1 German HE-111 has to fly away, because he just lost an engine. Oh, I flee. All right, there's only 1 HE-111 left, and he's got 3 machine gun strikes left. All right, cool. That's it for the air phase. Now I go for direct fire. What I should probably do is try to suppress some of the ungodly fire that's going to be coming at me. Those M10s scare me. Those M10s are going to turn the tide. I got to do something about them. Is the long and short of it. Thinking. I really should have dropped the smoke screen up there. Okay, these 3 tanks. Those 3 tanks are going to actually those 3 tank platoons, so I got 15 German tanks, some Mark III specials, some F2s, and some Gs, are all going to fire up into this hex and try to kill or suppress at least some of these M10s. So I've got 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm at more than half range, 10, and another 14. I add all that together, I divide by 2 because I'm at greater than half range for all those weapons. I should say we're using a version of the Arab-Israeli Wars weapons effectiveness chart because the one in Panzer Blitz and Panzer Leader is absurd. Ironically, the one for Panzer Leader and Panzer Leader and Panzer Blitz would work better in a modern war setting. They make the guns way too powerful, especially vis-a-vis range, longer ranges. Because some of these shots, like this one here, the furthest one, the Mark 4G, he's firing at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 900 meters uphill at guys in hold down position. No, he's not going to get double firepower. He's not even going to get full firepower. He's going to get half. And it's going to take a +2 DRM on top of that. All right, so I got 38 total points there. 38 divided by 2 is 19. 19 versus 12 is 1 to 1. Oh, man. Then I have to add 1 to the die roll. Let me go ahead and get this started. Oh, shit. Germans wind up with a 2. I think they did it. Barely. Let me check. 1 to 1 odds. They rolled a natural 2. They have to add 2 because of hold down shielding. They got it barely. They suppressed those 2 M10s. That was lucky. That was where luck overcame some bad planning. The Germans should have saved some of their artillery for a smoke screen right there in 12-17 would have solved all my problems. All right, so guys, keep me straight. These 3 tanks have fired. This one hasn't. These 2 haven't. Okay, so now we start with the overruns. I can only fit 2 hexes in here because there is a rec counter in there. I have to pretend I don't know because it's a solitaire game. I have to prepare that I don't know that American artillery is landing on that hex. So they move into the American positions. There will still be some. They're going to launch an overrun. But before I get to that, let me finish up the rest of German direct fire. If any. This heavy machine gun section cannot see any of these trucks because they're all in wadis. Cannot fire at this because it's an armored target. Wow, the Germans got weak all of a sudden. Okay, these 3 points are going to fire at that unit right there. All right, because I'm within range. I'm not within half range, so I don't get doubled. That's going to be 3 to 1. The Americans are splashing trucks around to kind of clog up the road, and I'm just trying to use some of my light artillery to clean that shit up. Make sure the camera's turned on this time. 3 to 1, a 3, he's destroyed. Where was he? Right there. All right, so now he's fired. The mortar has fired. My anti-aircraft guns. They're not really in range of anything anymore. Okay, so this anti-aircraft gun and this anti-aircraft or platoon of half tracks. So I got 10 flak tracks, I call them. Are going to fire up the slope and they're going to try and pin down that M3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now anti-aircraft gets a little tricky versus armored targets. So AA versus armored target after 2 hexes becomes halved. More than half it becomes quartered. Holy crap. Alright, so this guy fires at half. This guy fires at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a quarter. So a quarter of 6 is 1.5. We'll make it 2. Well, let's do it fair. 4 plus 1.5 is 5.5. Rounds up to 6. Hits him at 2 to 1. Add 2 to the die roll. 5 at 2 to 1. Barely did it. That's going to set up some more overruns. Alright. That's going to be it for German fire. And we'll do the Italian part of the battle separately. Alright, let's go to German movement. We've already done this part. That triggers American opportunity fire from the guys who aren't dispersed. 14 and 14 is 28 within 2 hexes with a weapon that has a range of greater than 3. So long story short, take your 15th shot, whatever it is, that doubles. So 28 times 2 is, what is that, 56? Yeah, this is what I was afraid of. This is what I was afraid of. Oh no! Germans might not carry it off after all. Now the Germans do get to add 2 to the American die roll because they are in the Americans' improved position. We are now occupying American fortifications and we get bonuses for that. So that is what I say, 56 divided by 14. 14 times 4, basically. Yeah, 56 divided by 14. 4 to 1, add 2 to the die roll. Oh, I don't think the Germans are going to make it. That's not even everything. All right, here we go. Turn the die on, because this is important. 2. Yeah, 2 and plus 2 becomes 4. On 4 to 1, I think the Germans just got toasted. So 4 to 1, I rolled a natural 2. I had to add 2 because of improved positions. They're still killed. And there goes the German spearhead. Ach, Himmel, es ist nicht gut. So they're smoked. Damn, there were some F2s in there too. Oof. There were some good tanks in there. You do want to keep careful track of opportunity fire. 899th, baby. They make the difference. Just like they did in real life. Okay, so this guy's fired, this guy's fired, that guy's fired. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to attempt the overrun. Now everyone's fired except for 1, 2 gun motor carriages. Those gun motor carriages haven't fired yet and they're not pinned down. They are going to go ahead and fire opportunity fire as well, clearly. Come on, get out of the way, 899th. Oh, I should be putting in my more intense soundtrack for this. Alright, so these two guys are going to take their opportunity fire. The problem is they're going to be at more than half range. When they fire, no matter where they take their shot, they're going to be at more than half range, so they have to divide. So as pitiful as they are with only 4, they have to divide that by 2. So basically 2 4s become 1 4. 4 versus 7 is 1 to 2 odds. And they roll a 4, which is no effect. Alright, so this guy did make it through. 10 versus 12 is 1 to 2 odds. Becomes 1 to 1 odds. Subtract 2 from the die roll for overrun. Add 2 to the die roll for add 2 to the die roll for the improved position. So basically it's 1 to 1, just roll it. Alright, so this is important. The good news for the Germans is a double D will kill those units. A 3, I think, does it. A natural 3, again, we're adding 2 and we're subtracting 2. Oh, we have to subtract another one because he's dispersed. So we're actually subtracting 3 and we're adding 2. So net subtract 1. So a 3 definitely does it because a 3 becomes a 2. That's it. The Germans paid way too much for that. But they did overrun and kill some of these American units. units. So that's going to be 1 smoke counter. And another American wreck. Holy crap, there's too much going on in that hex. Okay, so let's zoom in so we can get a good look at what's going on. Also, these splendorous counters. Oh my god, who could have possibly made these? I will say I get a lot of my counters. I get the basics for my counters from imaginativestrategist.com, and then I enhance them, no small amount. But in all fairness, I can't say I create these completely from scratch, just mostly. Okay, so opportunity fire is sorted, the overrun is sorted. Let's finish up the rest of German movement. We are going to cat attack this M3 half track. All right, our platoon of M3 half tracks. Now the problem here is there will be some American opportunity fire. Ooh. There'll be some hell of American opportunity fire. Shit, let go of that. I forgot there was a battery of self-propelled pack guns up there. All right, so that 5 doubles because he's within half range. So that's 10, 3, 1. That's 14 points plus 2. What else can I throw in there? We're basically putting up a final protective fire before these guys get overrun. He's obviously going to defend himself. He's got some friends here from survivors of 1st Ranger Battalion. These guys are too far away. 1, 2, 3. These guys can help a little, believe it or not. An American, so one of the differences between, here's a quick comparison for people who may be interested, between rifles and Rangers. Rifles are a smaller platoon, but they are better trained. So they take a hit down to a defense of 5. They're better trained. They're more resilient. They go up to a 6 for their defense. Notice they have better attack, but their range isn't so hot. The Americans have the American rifles, the regular American infantry platoons. There's a lot more 30 cals in there. There's more 60mm mortars in there. There's more BARs in there probably. The Rangers are probably carrying a lot more in the way of Thompsons. And maybe even some M3 grease guns, if those have come out yet. So that's why there's no star on the Ranger for range. That's why the Rangers, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering, are out of range for this shot at 3 hexes, but these American rifles are in range at 4 hexes. What that star means is that you can use half of your firepower out to double your range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they can each throw in 1 point. All right, so we said 10 for the pack howitzers, 3 for the Rangers who are in range, 1 for the engineers stacked with them, and then 1 and 1 and 2 for the half track. Makes a total of, so far, 18. Trying to think how I'm going to split that up. I'm going to throw in 1 and 1. That's going to give me a total of 20. Plus 1, plus 1. So pretty much what's left of 1st Ranger Battalion is opening fire on these fools for a total of 20. And with that, I can get a 2-to-1 and a 1-to-1. All right, cool. So that's what I'm going to do. So with 20 total points, this deck is now fired as well, again with their extended range weapons. No friendly units never block line of sight in this game. Again, these are 150 meter hexes, and that's 5 trucks. You can find a fire lane through there. Okay, so that's going to be 20 versus, I'm going to put 16 of that here into this rifle section at 2-to-1. Rangers lead the way. A 3, pinned them down. And then 1-to-1 on that heavy machine gun section. Spoiler alert, they've already broken up the cat attack. Heavy machine guns or American machine gun sections are not allowed to cat attack alone. They have to be stacked with infantry as well. The problem is, doink, the infantry's not going in with them. They're all shitting their pants there in the sand. but the fire is already called in, so 4 to 4 is 1 to 1. And killed him. Smoked him. Yeet. Get out of my hex, boy. Don't piss off. The Rangers have taken some heavy casualties this game. I think they're pissed. They were getting clobbered by German artillery, like something fierce. Okay, so that cat attack is now canceled because, again, everyone's pinned and the machine guns are dead anyway. The Germans are probably losing the game here. Oh, but they're going for it. The problem is for Mr. Rangers, they've taken their opportunity fire. And these guys can't shoot over a ridge to hit a desert floor hex because the way the ridge is shaped. So that cat attack's going to go in. Let's just go ahead and resolve it now. It's probably going to fail, but just in case. I have 6 versus 12 versus 3. That's 1 to 3 odds. Subtract 2 from the die roll, add 2 to the die roll for this improved position. Oof. I might pin him down if we get a really lucky roll. A 5, that ain't going to do it. So that cat attack failed. The Germans are running out of steam. They are legit running out of steam. All right, let's try to rally some German units that were previously dispersed, not the guys that just got dispersed. Rifle platoon, yes. Rifle platoon. Oh, sorry, rifle platoon, yes. Tank, yes. German morale and American morale are both B, so everyone has to roll a 4 or less. We are using the morale chart out of Tactical Command Middle East, basically 4th edition Panzer Leader. It's a little bit simplified, a little bit streamlined. I understand what they were going for with the Arab-Israeli wars. They kind of convoluted it a little bit, but it's just a little too complicated. It's not. It's complicated in that it's just kind of a pain in the ass. All right, now what this guy is going to do, these 2 platoons, they're going to duck this way, so they're still behind this ridge. Oh no, they're hull down. I'm trying to avoid opportunity fire from these 2. I don't think that's going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work anyway, so let's go for it. 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, they are not within 2, and they are not more than half. So they stay exactly at their printed attack factor. If they're within 2, they get to double. If they're at more than half their range is 10, so half would be 5. They have to halve. They lose 50% of their firepower at greater than half range. They meet neither of those conditions, so they stay with what they've got. I've got 2 14s. 28 versus 5 would be a nice kill. I'm going to try and save that M3. So I'm going to put 1 battery or 1 platoon of M10 tank destroyers on each of those 2 units of Mark II Fs. Little baby recon tanks with a defense of 5. Now the Germans get to add 2 to their die roll, so I'm really just trying to pin them down. All right, so this company or this platoon is firing on this platoon, and that platoon is firing on this platoon. So let's go ahead and do it. Again, it's 14 to 5. That's a sloppy 2 to 1. You always run in favor of the defender. 5 on 2 to 1. I have to add 2 to the roll. No effect. 2 on 2 to 1 becomes a 4. One of them is pinned. And they've now taken opportunity fire as well. Okay, now the other 3 are going to go ahead and launch their overrun. It's a total of 6 points versus 3 points. 2 to 1, 3 to 1. Subtract 3 from the die roll. Hold down. Shielding does not apply for overruns. He's smoked. And these 2 guys are just going to take a straight up fire phase. and then use split movement fire to fall back. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to blow up some trucks. Because the Americans have a huge stockpile of trucks in this game. I won't go back to the construction sheet, but almost every American company, or every American platoon or battery that got here by truck. And there was a lot. It was the better part of 3 battalions. I basically had a reinforced regiment on the table. There's a lot of trucks. A lot of trucks. Easily 18, let's see, 9 times 3 is 27. I'm not going to go through it now, but 36, at least 36 trucks. 36 truck sections, so 36 times 5. There's almost 200 trucks on this table. I got to start blowing some of them up. I've been blowing some of them up. I'm going to blow up some more, because what the Americans are going to do is I'm going to make a rush towards some of these objective hexes that are kind of unprotected now, and they're going to start trying to block the road and just kind of be cheesy with the turns and kind of run out the clock with trucks. So I'm going to start wearing some of them out. So long story short, take your 17th shot. That is 2 5-to-1 attacks. First one to the west. Smoked. Second one to the east. He survived. You can't blow up a truck with a 75mm gun? What's wrong with you, man? Okay, over here to the Italian side of the board, where the Axis is actually winning. Shocker. All right, so the Axis this is next turn's artillery. This turn's artillery lands here. What do the Italians have again? They're throwing in those mortars as well. That is, the Italians have 2 12s, 2 100mm field guns from like the 1920s. So they got 24 points. 24 versus 6 is 4-to-1 odds. The Americans could survive that. Come on and focus, Mr. Camera. That's annoying. Focus, Mr. Camera. A 6, the Americans survived. They are dispersed, though. Italian artillery lets us down. Okay, so we'll see what happens then. All right, now for the... what's going on over here for the Italians. There's no line of sight there. Do I overrun or do I trust my infantry to take care of it? I'm going to trust my infantry to take care of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You already took opportunity fire. 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15. Boom, they made it. 16. The Axis now controls 2 objective hexes. They're almost winning. 1. Oops, where do you start off at? 1, 2, 4. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't want to make too much of a dash because these Americans might try to overrun me. Next turn. Okay, now with just infantry over here, I'm going to complete my infantry movement and wrap up Axis turn 6. One. One, 2. Alrighty, there's another tank section in there. Where was he? Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alrighty. It's time to just basically execute what's left of these guys. Try to rally the Italians. The Italians are morale C. He does rally. But that's his turn, so he's not going to get to attack. He's going to hop over here so that this guy cannot see him because of that hex line right there. And he's going to cat attack that truck. 2 to 1, subtract 2 from the die roll. 1, he smoked. Little baby cat attacks. I'll put him up here so I can remember. Alright, so that happened. And a whole lot here. Alright, so 2, 6. Another vehicle. Oh. Alright, so that's a total of, I'll leave him there then, so we can do the cat attack. So 10 versus 3 is 3 to 1. Subtract 2 from the die roll. Americans could, if I roll a 6, the Americans survive. I roll the 4, they do not. And that is, oh no, I got 2 more platoons down here. I was going to say that's probably the end of the 26th. Or at least this battalion of the 26th. Alright, that is the end of the Axis turn because I've made all their rally checks, we've done all their overruns and cat attacks. Clean up the board briefly. Where were the other American kills? There were sadly a few of them. Alrighty, and the German kills go over here. Yeah, I really should have dropped a smoke screen in there. That was a missed opportunity. That may have cost the Germans the game. Although at the moment they have 2 out of 5. Alright, so that's it. That's going to be, we're going to call the end of German turn 6. We go to American turn 6. Jen Lemon says, I know you did not just use doink in the context of a range return in Panzer Leader. Maybe the truck was full of bicycles. There are no bicycles on this table. There were some motorcycles. 10th German 10th Motorcycle Battalion was on the board. That's where all those armored cars come from. German motorcycle battalions weren't just motorcycles. They had a lot of armored cars in them too, especially in mid-war and late war. Okay, we begin American turn 2. That's last turn's artillery for the Germans, so move that out of the way. Alrighty. Let's start American turn 2. Awesome. We start off with calling in new artillery. Right, my current artillery is landing right on top of some German tanks. That's nice. How much American artillery is there again? Ooh, 3 batteries of 155s. Long toms were in this battle. Historical photographed evidence. So, that's going to be 30 points, effectively. You know what? The damn Rangers need some support. Alright, American artillery is called in. We are now going to resolve American artillery from the previous turn. You just saw the 320, so it's going to be a total of 60 points. Plus 3 from 2 battalion sections of 81 millimeter mortars. So that's going to be a total of 66 points. That doesn't make a difference. Alright, so I'm going to use those, I'm going to save those artillery, those mortars for something else. Technically you're supposed to declare that ahead of time. I'm playing a little fast here. Alright, so no worries. What did I say? 60 divided by 2 because it's against an armored target makes 30. 30 versus... I have some off-board... Oh, they're within the minimum range. I have to use them in direct fire. Alright, never mind. So 60 points divided by 2 because its armor target makes 30. 30 versus 7 is 4 to 1. Add 2 for the IP. So 4 to 1, add 2. Because a lot of 155s are landing on that little platoon of Mark III specials. But they are in American positions, fortified positions, so 3 plus 2 becomes 5. They are dispersed. Okay, new American artillery is called in. Now we call in American air power, what's left of it. Technically, they have to be spotted now. So I can't call in the airstrike on them. Oh, yeah. So I'll probably save the American... That's going to be a total of 30. Yeah, I'll save the American actual bombs for now. I will use another machine gun strike. Where are the American, where are the German flag guns? I gotta watch out for them. I've already destroyed the... Why am I fighting this battle? This battle's lost. There's no real objectives over here. There's one, but I'm not going to be able to retake it. So let me not waste my my airstrikes. There's got to be something over here that matters a little more. Problem is, if I come here, I go into the teeth of German flak. Hey, you know what? They're Thunderbolts. They're just going to have to tough it out. Let me place my airstrike in such a way where I'm the furthest away from the most flak I possibly can. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay, cool. I'm more than half range from both of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not beyond half range of that one. So, quick refresher on anti-aircraft versus aircraft. Normal. 5 to 6 is normal. 7 plus is half. Okay, cool. I knocked 3 points out of that 37 millimeter battery. All right, cool. So, unfortunately for the Thunderbolts, this guy gets full strength, but this guy gets half. Because they are being very careful about what direction they're coming in from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The range for a machine gun strike is 2 hexes. So, as a result, I'm able to divide this guy's firepower by 2. Whereas if I just said, the hell with it, I'll attack here, now they're both within, full range. They get the full whack. So sometimes it pays to be a little careful. All right, so it's going to be a total of 6 points. I am only targeting the infantry gun. So that's going to be 3 to 1 odds. 3, he smoked. Good job, Thunderbolts. They've taken out 2 batteries of anti-aircraft and 2 batteries of anti-aircraft and a battery of infantry guns so far. They haven't even dropped their bombs yet. All right, now before I forget, those anti-aircraft guns have taken opportunity fire. So they do not get to shoot during their turn. All right, cool. So now we go to American direct fire. Anybody who has fired in opportunity fire phase does not get to shoot. That reminds me, this guy took opportunity fire last turn. Okay, so that's most everybody. The Americans took a lot of opportunity fire. They had to, man. I do have a field gun on the back of a half-track. He's going to go into direct fire mode, and he's going to make sure he's firing at beyond 8 hexes. No, it's because he's firing direct fire. He has no minimum range. Alright, but now he can only affect a single target. So 7 points versus 8 points. 1 to 2 odds. -1 from the die roll because he is dispersed. 5 becomes a 4, he's just still dispersed. Damn you. Nothing else is really in position here, so now we're going to go to movement phase. Reoccupy that hex. I know the Germans just technically overran that hex. What's happening is both these turns, remember everybody, both sides are kind of going at the same time. So I'm actually going to take that with an actual combat unit. I can't move any of these guys because they all took opportunity fire. So as they were overrunning those tanks, more infantry were coming in. In fact, the Germans, especially now that they've lost their infantry guns, so they don't really have any fire support, the Americans are going to... Have you heard of the sticky bomb? Time to get sticky with the sticky bombs. That's officially trademarked by Oriskany Jim. Copyright 2023. Time to get sticky with the sticky bombs. We're going to close assault that dispersed platoon of German Mark IIIs. I've got 4 points versus 7 points. That is 1 to 2. No engineers in there, so it stays at 1 to 2. Subtract 2 from the die roll. Subtract another 1 from the die roll because he's dispersed. Add 2 to the die roll because I have to throw him out of my improved positions. My firing pits, my slit trenches, stuff like that. There were probably some firing pits in there for infantry guns or anti-tank guns that the Americans had dug, and now the German tanks are using those. So what did I say? 1 to 2. 1 to 2, net subtract 1. Silver Star time, boys. Do it for Audie Murphy. Oh, hell yeah! That is literally a Silver Star right there. Alright, that is smoked. That is a 0 on a 1 to 2. Yeah, he is gone. And it's going to be my favorite thing in Panzer Leader. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you know now. Right there, I'm going to zoom in. A little thing we like to call intermingled rec counters. When you have rec counters of both sides in the same hex, that's a good Panzer Leader game. Something got desperate in there. Something got hairy. Alright, that pretty much wraps up the Americans here. I'm going to finish up with some rally checks. Close assaults always kind of close out the turn. So first thing I'm going to try and do is rally these 2 M10s. That is, or 2 platoons of M10s. They rally on a 4 or less, a 3 and a 6. Come on, camera, with that friggin' focus. That's really annoying. Still not focusing. So while I'm messing with that, I will go ahead and straighten out my map. Oh, what am I doing? He's not dispersed. He's, sorry about that. Alright, and now I'm going to try to rally that, or both of these little Fargos. Little Fargos. Camera, you're seriously about to tick me off here. Oh shit. So the first one does not rally. The second one does rally. Okay, that's dangerous. Because now the Germans are going to be able to shoot uphill and kill some of those M10s. Okay, and then over here, there's not much else they can do. Took opportunity fire. I will try to rally. Oh, you know what? Well, let me not get him off the... No, let me stay where I am. I'll try to rally him. Try to rally the truck. Fail. Try to rally the rifle platoon. Succeed. But I think I'm literally just going to stick there. Oh yeah, see, I told you there were some motorcycles in this game. I totally forgot about these guys. Join their Italian friends. Okay, so, Yeah, it's tempting to launch a massive cat attack and wipe out some of these guys, but they would take point-blank opportunity fire at me with short-barreled 7.5 centimeter howitzers. That would not be pretty, and then I would have abandoned that objective. And then these guys might hook back around to the right and snatch it from me. Those little Mark IIs are fast. They have movement rates of 10. The Americans are holding almost everywhere. They're doing okay, especially against the Germans. They did not hold against the Italians, surprisingly. And the problem is they are in real danger of... they've already been outflanked. These guys are now in their rear. They've already stolen Objective X. So... all right, next, can that American platoon rally? Please help me rally, brother. 4 or less. 2, he does. All right, so he rallies, and when he rallies, these guys are going to move and join him. Form a consolidated, sort of a Custer's last stand there on the edge of that ridge. Any other movement? The Americans who have turreted AFE mobility rules, they can still move half. They may do some of that. Especially these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. They get 5 movement points. All right, now the rest of these bums try to speed down that road. They're going to walk right into some 76 millimeter love from 2 batteries of half-tracks. M10s. Big difference. So, all right, cool. We've staunched the bleeding. Damn. The Germans have lost here at the front door. There's no way they're pushing through this. But they're doing pretty good here at this little flank. And by crowbarring around the American left wing here, they force these M10s to withdraw. Even though all this light German armor, all this light German Panzer reconnaissance shit back here, there was no way they were going to push those M10s off that ridge. But by being outflanked, they kind of crowbarred them off there anyway. That's a George Washington at Morristown move right there. You pry the enemy out of an otherwise impregnable position by maneuver rather than by fire or assault. Okay. I think that's going to wrap things up for the American turn. So I wanted to do any more movement. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna mess around and do a little bit more movement. No, sadly these trucks cannot spot, but at least I can sort of, keep them from sidestepping or hemming and hawing around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They will not take opportunity fire. If they do, they give away their position. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's got to stop there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He'll stop there. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the wadi. 6, 7, 8, 9. Dilemma tactics. Ooh, wait, shit, I can't pull that off. Ah, friggity frig. Hold on, let me work on this. I may not do that yet. This navigation with this busted mouse is getting on my nerves. In fact, if you guys don't mind, give me 2 seconds here. This will save us time in the long run. It's a little better. That's the magic hex. 1807. Alright guys, so what we're doing is we moved our Jeep up here. A Jeep is considered a combat unit. It can spot. Now, before I'm doing that, these guys, where were they? They were in 2109, 2209. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can get there easily. This guy was in, damn it. This guy was in 2209. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, cool. They don't pay for crossing elevation lines because they're going downhill. These aren't like slopes and Panzerblitz. All right, so now I've got a line of sight. I missed that group of trees, and they have missed. They missed this dune. They missed that dune. They don't. Oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. This other town hex here. Okay, so this is a dilemma tactics. This is what we're doing here, guys. What we wound up doing here was we put our bicycle next to the Italian armored cars. Okay, that's sitting on the objective hex. So now the Italians have a choice. They're either spotted, they're going to get pasted by the M10s next turn because the Jeep has them spotted, or they can fire with opportunity fire and kill the Jeep now, or they can do it during their fire phase, and they'll definitely kill the Jeep, but now they're spotted. And when they're spotted, the M10s paste them. Probably their best choice is to paste the Jeeps and then run, because they do get the split movement fire roll. They'll be able to bolt into El Guettar proper and do it with few enough movement points where the M10s will never get a shot. Oh no, did I make another miscalculation? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the M10s are out of range. This plan does not work. All right, then we don't do it yet. Sorry about all that. That was much ado about nothing. But we're getting them set up. The Italians' days on that objective hex are numbered. I just can't quite do it yet. Now, what the Italians can do to counter my counter tactic, or to counter my counter tactic, is to just mount a mass charge down here against these guys, and who knows, maybe they'll get something lucky on an overrun. Call in some artillery, basically knock out these M10s, but by then some more of these M10s are going to have pulled off this ridge, but that's going to lessen the pressure against the Germans. You see what I mean by this thing is too close to call? Okay, so that's going to be it for the American phase. Let's start the next phase, because we don't want to be here all night. Turn 7. We're going the distance on this one, folks. We're not stopping the stream until we either have a decision or we hit the end of turn 10. All right, Germans are going to, they've already got their artillery called in. so where am I calling in my current artillery? Alright, now we're going to resolve the artillery. Alright, we got, again, like I said, 60. Now, before I say this, before I declare this, Germans are going to use their 81mm mortars to call in a smoke screen. Not making that same mistake twice. Now I got to do this carefully so I don't blind myself in my own artillery mission. Okay, now we're going to resolve current German artillery. So I can't use these mortars. These mortars just drop that smoke screen. SSC stands for smoke shell concentration. Because Panzer Leader has to have a fancy name for everything. Alright, but in all seriousness, I got 23 points now against 4, which is not quite. It's 7 to 1, add 2 to the die roll. Ah, wrong button. Oop, that was not a die roll. That was just sitting in there. Oh man, my camera's frozen? Let me see if I can reactivate my camera, guys. Alright, right? Are we actually showing now? Cool. Alright, so 7 to 1 odds, but I do have to add 2 for improved positions. 3 becomes 5 on 7 to 1. Yeet, you're out of here. Now 23 against 6. Unfortunately, that's only 3 to 1. And I have to add 2 to the die roll, so only a 1 will kill him. 4 becomes a 6 on 3 to 1. I think that's still dispersed. Make sure you get to where you guys can see it. Yeah, he's still dispersed. Mark III specials are less than 300 meters away from those M10s. So I double because I'm within 2 hexes. So 20 versus 6, 3 to 1. I have to add 2 to the die roll for my, or for his hold down shielding. And a 6. God bless Americans. Ferg. Two to 1, add 2, subtract 1, a double deal, do it. The other one's destroyed. Actually, you know what? 2 to 1, dispersed. So now these 2 guys have fired. Ooh, that's not going over the minefield. Overrun, no opportunity cat provided because they are already pinned down. 14 versus 6 is 2 to 1. 3 to 1. Net subtract 1 from the die roll. A double deal do it. I think he's executed. 3 to 1. Subtract 1 from the die roll. A double deal do it. Yep. So no die roll required there. What the hell is this doing there? He fired, he fired. They're moving forward. I can only move 1 hex in there. I can only move 1 unit in that hex because there's 2 wreck counters in there. Ugh, I wanted to support them. I won't be able to. Alright, so where were they? looking at German split moving fire. It's getting pretty damn desperate. To be fair, the Americans could have taken some weak opportunity fire. 1 to 2, maybe I'll pin someone down. Hey, pinned them down. So all this is op fire. None of that is op fired because I couldn't see. Oh, that op fire was, we're in the German turn now. All this op fire was from before. Fired mortars, op fired because of aircraft. German turns are going to start getting short. Okay, another cat's coming in, but the Germans can only take opportunity fire against this rifle platoon that's moving. Because you can only take opportunity fire during the enemy's movement, clearly. So, there's going to be probably quite a bit. Well, first of all, we have these. Oh, God, I keep forgetting about this stupid howitzer in here. 10, 14 versus 8. That's not enough. I want to get at least 16. They're not going to get it because everything else is out of range, even for extended range weapons. Okay, so that's going to be only 1 to 1. Cool, so 1 to 1. 5, they missed. Oh no, Rangers. Now the Germans get a full rifle company heading straight up that hill into a Ranger platoon. Here, how's this for a bolt action game? A whole company of Germans. So you're looking at 150 Germans. This might be more of a Flames of War game. 150 Germans who don't know they're about to be pasted by American artillery are going in there with 3 points apiece. They're up against 50 Rangers, 50 combat engineers, and 5 half-tracks with 75mm pack howitzers. But the Americans are in some pretty good, slit trenches, foxholes, barbed wire, stuff like that, improved positions. So I have 9 versus 6, 12, 15. That's 1 to 2 odds. No subtractions, no additions, just 1 to 2 odds. I can't kill him. With a 5, I don't do anything. Alright, so that was much ado about nothing. And now they're going to get counter-cat attacked after they get the hell bombarded out of them by more Rangers and probably something else. Oh, I could have checked in these 2. Still wouldn't have helped them, though. Yeah, so no worries. They took opportunity fire, but they still get to use split moving fire. That's about it for the German phase. Oof. Alright guys, what should I do here with the Italian? Should I just go for it? Just literally run right down that road and try to overrun these fools. I can see them. In fact, I'd better do something, otherwise they're going to open fire on me. Alright, let's go back over here to this part of the Italian battlefield. Number one, the artillery misses. That's okay. The Italians have direct fire mortars on the table that can hit that hex just with their own spotting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call in Italian artillery on this hex. Okay, the current artillery misses. Direct fire. Here comes some more artillery in the form of onboard mortars. 6 points because they're onboard and they're using direct fire. 6 on 6, 1-to-1. Hold down shielding does not help you against mortar attacks. 1-to-1 is 3. One of them is dispersed. Come on. That could be important. Stop it with that. 2 versus some opportunity fire. 2 versus 5 is 1-to-3. Let's see if we can pin some of these Italians down before they attack us. I think they did. And now the remaining 2. Stop it with that. The cat attack now becomes illegal because 2 would be attacking 6. That's greater than 1-to-4 odds, or worse than 1-to-4 odds, I should say. So yeah, nothing happens there. Keep moving the map like that. It's rather annoying. The Italians have definitely done well. They've taken one of the 2 objective hexes that the Axis has taken so far, and they're the ones that are actually putting the Americans under threat. They're the ones that are going to force some of the American M10s off that ridge. All right. Go big or go home. They're not in range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they couldn't. Damn it with that, moving the map. They couldn't overrun even if they wanted to. So 1, 2, they trigger opportunity fire, but now a dune line is between them. The motorcycles can't really do much anyway. 1, 2 for going uphill, and now there's a elevation hex between them. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5 for coming out of the wadi. 6, 7, 8. Alright, he's safe there. So these guys move 2, 3, 4, oh no, 2, 3. They popped into the line of sight for a second. They dropped out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, the Italians are getting very careful with the movement rolls. When I hurl them against these M10s, I want it to count. Because it's all connected to what happens with these guys and whether or not they can hold that objective hex. Alright, alright, now that the Americans have sort of abandoned that ridge, they can start to encircle and besiege this place. So these guys moved on turns. No, they just turned. They just moved now. Four or five for crossing a ridgeline. 6, 7. I will attempt to rally that platoon of Mark IIs. They do rally. However, that was considered their fire phase, which means they now only have half their movement. These guys are all back 1 hex. I forgot that they crossed the hex line right here, or a ridge line. The brown ridge line cost them an extra movement point. So 1, 2, 3. Just make a little pile of game function markers over here. Okay. I think that's going to be it for the Germans. Boom. Over to the American turn. Jen says, silly question, I know, but for those of us not experts in troop quantities, how many people are in a battle this size? You would have to take this number, which I'm not going to count now because that would kind of take up too much time on the stream. And you kind of have to discount the empty trucks. But you have to count out the total number of hexes here and multiply by about 30. That's the total number of people engaged here. It's about 40 to 50 for a infantry platoon, but for like a truck section, it's only 5. There's like literally, or maybe 10, 2 men, a guy running shotgun and an actual driver times 5 trucks. A tank platoon is only 25. So a good number to multiply by is like 30 or 35. So basically take everything on this, count up all these counters and multiply by 30. You're going to wind up with a couple thousand. Is the short answer. Okay, turn 7 for the Americans. Take it step by step. First, resolve artillery, or actually call in new artillery. Those Germans who have been harassing my Rangers are in for a bit of a bad day. A bit of a bad day, I say. I don't think I ever tried to rally that German rifle platoon. Do I have eyes on? Yes, I have many eyes on that. I'm going to continue to defend the Hex of Death. Because the Germans are, I mean, as much as the Germans have paid for it, they are like 2 hexes away from that hex. They're about 2 hexes away from that objective hex. Okay, so meanwhile, I'll call in my 60 points. That is 3 7-to-1s. Guess what I don't need? Dice. You guys are smoked. Kaboom! 3 batteries of 155s. The thing the Germans hated worse than our air power was our artillery. There's the famous story of the Normandy vet who was being interviewed after the war. He was talking about, you guys had a hell of a time, I'm assuming, with American and British fighter bombers. The Mosquitoes, the Typhoons, the Thunderbolts. And the guy was like, yeah, but the plane we really hated seeing was that little L5 spotter plane. We saw that thing go up in the air and our hearts just sank. Because we knew that we were going to be under American artillery fire for days. An airstrike is bad, but it comes and goes. An artillery mission just literally never lives. Once the Americans get you under their artillery, you're done. All right, there's a little bit of payback for the Rangers. You see where the Rangers have lost a lot of all these little smoke columns here. They've lost well over a company out of their battalion. They've taken at least 30, 35, maybe 40% casualties. That whole 1st Ranger Battalion under just a withering hail of German artillery fire in earlier phases. All right, so we've done we've done the new artillery. We've done the artillery resolution. We go to American air power. I'm telling you, I'm still going to hold on to my bombs. Because I'm saving them for those stupid auto blindas that are trying to literally steal the game. Or at least steal that objective hex. So what I will do instead is, especially now that the Germans have slightly redeployed their flak, is start machine gunning some mortars. Because the hell with those guys. This is the, let's see, they came on turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. This is their last machine gun blast. So, shit. All right, here we go. Now, they do have to withstand some German anti-aircraft. So, I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's full, he's half. So, 6 plus 2 is 8. That just gives the Germans enough here on this column. Let's see what German anti-aircraft fire does. 5, hell no. You can't shoot down a Thunderbolt, man. That's a jug. That's a thick-ass jug coming in. All right, now I got a grand total of 6 points versus 2. Another 3-to-1 attack on German light infantry artillery. 1, smoked. Yeet, you're out of here. Where was he? So I know where to put the smoke column that marks his grisly demise. Dude just ate a mouthful of 50 caliber. Suck on that. Alright. They have now given the Germans the full 9 yards, so to speak. Especially if you know where that expression comes from. All 27 feet of 50 caliber machine gun belt have now been put into German targets. I now literally just have bombs left. Alright, so that op fire was from yeah, they took it here. No, they took it here, turn 6. Which means on the American turn 6 they couldn't take it. We're now into the German turn 7. Alright, cool. Alright, so anything else the Germans want to do? Yeah, we're going to... No, we're on the American turn. What am I doing? Sorry. So that... Yeah, they fired. All right, so that opportunity fire counter is still there. I fired during German phase on turn 6. I did not fire on my turn 6. It's off of there, sorry. Because they did not get a chance to shoot these Italians. I almost cheesed the Americans out of a fire phase / movement phase there. Okay, so now what's going to happen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, now you're, now guess what? Now guess what? He is now going to be spotted. All right, cool. The Americans never fired their onboard mortars, which I forgot to do last time. This guy has no line of sight, so whatever. Well, actually, I do. I can drop 6 points on, or really 3 points. You know what? Let me try it. He's going to drop 3 points on an indirect fire mission. It's going to reduce down to 2 points, but that's on all 3 of those tanks. So it's going to be 3 1-2s. I'll get lucky on at least one of them. 81mm mortars on a bunch of tanks, light tanks. I think 2 of them are dispersed. Germans should have spread those out a little bit. Let me triple check that. 1-3. I rolled a natural 2. Yeah, they barely got it. All right, the Americans did pretty well on that one. Come on with the zoom, dude. Okay. So now he's fired. And how these 2 batteries are going to fire on this guy. Now they are going to a single direct fire attack. So it's going to be 6 and 6. Is 16 versus 8. That's still only 1-1. And it ignores that half track. So let's see what we can do. 1-1. A 5, no effect. No, they took opportunity fire, dude. No, they haven't. That was last turn. I got to do a better job of taking the opportunity fire counters off those. It's now the end of the American phase, so I'm taking those off before I forget again. All right, let me try to rally some things. Those two platoons of M10s. One does, one does not. And then I've got a M6 Fargo. He does. I can try to rally that rifle platoon that just got missed by the mortars. Wait a minute. Wow. I'm losing track, guys. Sorry, I'm starting to get tired here. Rally this truck. I'm trying to rally German units on the American morale phase. Fails. All right, let me try to rally this guy. He took opportunity fire. No, he couldn't take opportunity fire. Okay, so what does this guy want to do? 2 versus 10, that's an illegal cat attack. 2 versus 5, 1-3, -1 from the die roll. I might kill him, you never know. I'd have to get super lucky here. A 3 becomes a natural 2. I don't think that does it. In fact, I know it doesn't. Okay, now I'm just going to try to rally that other platoon. A 6, he fails. Oh no! That little position might fall. Actually, I think I'll keep those trucks where they are. They're a nice little roadblock against these guys coming down out of the north. All right, that's going to wrap things up for American turn 7. German turn 8. All right, we've now called in new German artillery. We will now go ahead and call in don't split it up too much. Okay, well now go ahead and resolve the artillery that was called in last turn. That is 20. I have no mortars anymore, so that is only my 10.5s and my 15.0s. 10 plus 13. Oh, 13 plus 20, 33. I've been hosing the Germans again. Damn it. 33, dude. That's a huge difference. I was saying 23 before. Damn it, I made the same mistake last stream. Or I'm gonna have the Germans automatically succeed on one die roll. That they fail otherwise, because I hosed them again. Alright, so 33 reduces to 16. That's 2 to 1. So 2 to 1 on the dispersed guy. He smoked. 2 to 1 on the non-dispersed guy. 6, we said we're going to give him an automatic success because I screwed him over last turn. These two M10s are smoked by German artillery. That's big. That is significant. Why am I putting German red counters on there? That is not nothing. The German position, or the American position, just got seriously weakened there. And the smoke screen begins to dissipate. And damn it, I put on some more intense sound effects or something. Alright, Jen, let me know if that sounds too loud. In fact, I can already tell it kind of does. Give me a second, guys. Alright, hopefully that should sound not too bad compared to my voice. Because now it's desperate. Okay, German artillery phase is done. German air phase. Their last machine gun section. I'm going to come way down here where that 50 cal can't even reach me. 4 points into that mortar section. Oh, I swear, that was a legal roll. 1, smoked him. And now he's out of machine gun fire. He busts off the table. So the way it works in Panzer Leader is an aircraft gets 1 straight out bomb attack or whatever its ordnance is carrying, then it gets 4 attacks with its secondary weapons. So they made their main attack on turn 4, turn 5, 6, 7, 8. They've been taking machine gun attacks. They're now out. Sweet. So alright, that's it for the German air phase. We now go to German direct fire phase. I can't see these tanks, they can't see me. The Americans cannot see me from this hex. Let me zoom in a little, because this gets really important. The Germans are now within literally 150 meters of victory. This smoke shell concentration fills up this whole hex, so shooting out of this hex literally has to scrape past, and you always measure line of sight from center dot to center dot. And while that's legal in Valor and Victory with a penalty, it is not legal at all in Panzer Leader. So I have 28 versus 6. Oh, by the way, that's 2 versus 14 on opportunity to counterattack. No opportunity to counterattack. Let's see if the Americans have any other direct fire they can throw in there with a desperate defense. It's getting desperate now, folks. We're literally sitting in mortars and pack guns bolted to the back of half-tracks trying to stop German Mark IVs. Welcome to El Guettar. Alright, so that's going to be a total of 8 plus 5 because we're way over half range on both of those. Well, it's 6 versus 5, but it divides again. Alright, so 6 plus 5 is 11. Divides to 6. It's going to be a 1 to 2 attack, and I have the benefit of American improved positions. This is, unless I roll like a 1. Even then, I don't think it does anything. A 5, hell no. Alright, so they called in the most desperate fire they could from the 81s. And the 75 pack howitzers. They failed. There's not enough of them to do a sticky bomb attack. So now the overrun goes in. And it's a total of 28. Or should I just do with 1? 14 versus 6 is 2 to 1, 3 to 1, subtract 2 from the die roll. I'm gonna try it with just 1. Two, smoked them. Only one of them did that overrun. Which means the other one can now actually move. Bingo! Occupy the objective hex. Now the bad news for the Germans is that did open him up to opportunity fire. Because while that smoke screen was covering them, it's not anymore because they moved just out of arc, so to speak. That smoke screen has a bit of an arc. Again, Jen, just let me know if the new sound effects are too loud compared to me. So center dot to center dot. Yeah, you can see now where it clearly misses the smoke screen hex. So now they're going to fire. The flip side is they're no longer within they're no longer within 2 hexes, so they no longer double. So I'm throwing in 14 and 14 and half of this 7 because it's an H-class weapon. 14, 14, and 4, 32 points. I'll save that for something else because it doesn't make a difference. So 28 versus 7 is exactly 4 to 1. It's probably the end of the German Mark IVs, but I've got a plan. A 1. Yep, German Mark IVs were smoked. My God, how desperate! The Germans held it for a split second. Now he's taking opportunity fire. Two, 3. None of these guys can take opportunity fire because they just took it against the Mark IVs. Seven versus 7, but I get the benefit of hold down shielding. 4 becomes the 6, no effect there. And these guys probably would have, believe it or not, he does have line of sight. It wouldn't have helped though. Okay, so here we go. 10 versus, oh boy, 12 and 3 is 15. That's 1 to 2 becomes 1 to 1. Subtract 2 from the die roll. The Germans could steal it here. 1 to 1, subtract 2 from the die roll. They literally have a 50-50 chance. A 3 or less. Panzer Leader! Destroyed, destroyed, destroyed. For the record, I think the Germans have still lost down here because Oh, I no longer have that objective hex. I was going to say I occupied it for a second, and now these American infantry are going to swarm north and reoccupy it and probably launch the better. I'm probably going to eat the better, at least one full company of 3rd Battalion, 18th Infantry are going to cat attack, reoccupy that hex, and simultaneously cat attack those Mark IVs, and they have no infantry support to help them. So, as crazy as that was, I believe the Germans are still going to lose down here. Holy shit. This game just got... pretty bad. The Germans got lucky there. I needed a 3 or less. They got exactly a 3. What the hell? Is that what I'm supposed to have? 7? Yep. So what the deuce did I do with the... with the T-19 that was in there? What the hell? I'm missing a unit. It's not important now. I just don't want to. If we run across a rogue T-19 later, it's supposed to be destroyed. I hope I didn't delete them. It doesn't matter. Let me fix this. This guy's destroyed. I wish I knew the German Panzer Leader March. I would literally be singing it right now. Someone just won the Iron Cross. Although, they're not going to live long to enjoy it. Alright, let's try to rally some stuff. One, he rallies. Tanks. Fail. Any other movement? This guy's going to fall back a little because the commander is no longer terribly convinced. His whole spearhead is down to like 4 units. Not even. That's an empty truck. It's down to 3 units. Yeah, so he's going to fall back behind that sand dune a little bit. All right, what are the Germans over here going to do? Blew out the speakers with that one. Dude, it was awesome. That was a Panzer Leader moment. Panzer Leader. These guys fired at American jugs, so they don't get to shoot now. They're going to start opening fire into this hex. Notice I'm behind his ridgeline now, so he does not get hold down shielding. That's what happens when you outflank the enemy. 10, 10, 2, and 2. Because one of them at 4-1. 75mm guns. Do it. He survives. I'm telling you, if you guys saw part 1 of this stream, this hex, Iron Company, 26th Infantry Regiment, man, they are not going anywhere. Alright, let's see what we can do with the Italians. 1, 2, this one got all screwed up. I'm just going to copy it. Because these counters got screwed up. 1 here, 1 there. Okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. We're setting up for a cat attack next turn. Although I can get 2 in here now. The pinned down guys are in the way. They're gunking up the hex. Alright, so I'm going to try and take desperate opportunity fire. 1 to 1 1 to 3 odds. I doubt it's going to do anything. Might get lucky. 1 to 3 odds. That doesn't do anything. Alright, so now it's 4 versus 12. That's 1 to 3 for the Italians. Subtract 2 from the die roll. Potentially subtract 3 against the dispersed guy. So we'll see if this comes out. Okay, 5, that's not going to do anything. At 1 to 3, subtracting even 3 knocks it down to a 2. That's not enough to kill a dispersed unit. So that close assault failed. Meanwhile, this one here, I've got 2, 2, 2, and 2. That's 8. That's 4 to 1. Cat attack. They're smoked. Alrighty. This guy moves back to occupy the objective. Just make sure nobody gets cute. Okay. Now that those M10s have fallen back, these guys are going to get brave again. Movement of 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm keeping. Well, I can move up a little bit. I'm keeping a ridge line or a dune line between me and the M10 so they can't see me. Anything else for the Germans? The Germans. Split, move, and fire. That's going to wrap things up for the Germans. Over to the Americans. My artillery lands on nothing. That's okay. I'm going to call in some new artillery. Ooh. Actually, this is an objective too. The German problem here is that they have to take a position defended by infantry without any infantry. They've got some decent firepower over there, but it's not the greatest. They kind of have the wrong tool for the wrong job there. Alright, good news is I know what the Germans are doing with their artillery next turn. Alright, so back to the American. Okay, that's going to be it for the German turn. The Americans have now plotted their artillery. They landed on nothing this round. We go to American. Oh, before the Germans move, or before the Germans end their turn, these guys bail out of here. To stay there would mean instant death. 8 to 1, they'll take out a truck on their way out. I took out that truck with the bazooka. A truck? What does he want, for Christ's sake? The Silver Star? Alright, then they use split move and fire to bail out of there. They spent literally 1 movement point out of 16. That's nowhere near 1.25. They never triggered opportunity fire. Bad news is they did have to abandon that hex. Okay, so now we go to the American turn. These guys are now, again, unspotted. An empty truck cannot spot a unit. So they're too fast. Oh, there he is, that stupid thing I was looking for. That T-19. Into the boneyard with you. Can't hide from me. The Grim Reaper knows where you are. Alright, so American turn, direct fire. Jesus, not much. Not much. No, we're going to go straight to American airface. Actually, airface happens before movement. Okay, the guys I was worried about have left. So now I'm going to bomb this hex. German flat can't reach me. Okay, so I got 30 points and 30 points. However, it is an H-class bomb strike, so it becomes 30 points. It divides because I'm bombing armored targets. That becomes 30 points versus 8. It's going to be 2 3-to-1s. A 5 and a 3. So he's out of here. And now they've used up all their bombs and their ordnance. They fly away. I have Italian red counter somewhere. Cool. That was a little anticlimactic, but I managed to crowbar these guys out of that hex a different way. Okay, I think the Americans are going to walk away with a win on this one, although a bloody, bitter, ugly one. Let's go ahead and do our American movement. We are American infantry. You're about to get cat attacked. Basically, a whole company of American 3rd Battalion, 18th Infantry, 1st US Infantry Division just said, "Oh, hell yeah, here we come." I think it's time the Rangers came off this ridge and started whipping some ass. I doubt it's going to do it. You know what? No, I'm going to get overrun if I do that. I have no more half tracks down here. Alright, so he's just going to put, you never know, 1 to 4. Do I do it on a 1? Is it even worth it? Is it even chucking the dice? Worth chucking the dice. Ah, I could roll a 1. That half track's going to fire into the German infantry, try to pin them down. A 6. Nope. And then he's going to fall back into this wadi. So you weathered that easily enough. I doubt you're going to weather this as well. The issue is there's going to be a fair amount of opportunity fire coming back at you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's just enough to give me 1 to 1 on these engineers. I want to knock down the engineers because the engineers unlock special abilities in the close assault rules. So yes, these other ranger platoons are stronger, but trust me, it's worth it to knock out those engineers. Those are the guys with satchel charges, flamethrowers, Bangalore torpedoes. 1 to 1 on opportunity fire. A 1! He killed him! Oh! Germans aren't giving up yet. Is this battle bloody enough for you guys? Holy shit. That will be a generous amount of opportunity fire, though. Okay, now the rest of it goes in. 9 versus 8, 1 to 1. Subtract 2 from the die roll. 4 becomes a 2, barely survived. They fired last turn, so no worries there. They just moved. I'm going to fall back. The colonel's going to fall back a little bit, just because if he gets knocked out by a lucky German tank shot, American morale could drop. Jeez, what happened to the rest of the 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. They're barely in range, so they each are only worth 2 points. It's a total of 6 points versus 7. 1 to 2. But I'm subtracting 1 from the die roll, and a double deal do it. As they say, it's our favorite song, and Panzer Leader, a double deal do it. especially with a 2. A 2 becomes a 1. On 1 to 2, you're smoked. I'll put it over there somewhere. Yeah, the Germans are just withering. They technically reached the objective hex. They owned it for like literally a turn. And then they got, oh, I can only put 2 units in there. Ay, caramba. God, I forgot there was a rec counter in there. A rec counter, the reason you put rec counters on the map, it affects the stacking limits. Alright, so against their better judgment, the Germans are going to have to do it. Opportunity fire, opportunity fire. Um, 5 and 7 is 12. I'm going to go ahead and take a 2-to-1 against those engineers. This battle for the draw is not over. Especially with a 2. 2-to-1 on the engineers, they're out of here. That's bad. That may have just broken up the counterattack. So that counterattack goes in. That overrun is out of here. The overrun is out of here. The assault goes in. That is a total of 4 versus 7, 1 to 2, and it stays there because -2, +2, he's in American improved positions. Oh boy, it may come down to the Rangers. The Rangers might be the one that throws them out of there. Rangers or artillery. What did I say? 1 to 2 with no penalties. I might disperse them. With a 3, I disperse them. So I don't need that op fire there anymore. Okay. Good grief, it's getting desperate down there. There's not much left. There's not much left. The Germans can still call in plenty of artillery. Alright, that's gonna kind of wrap up the American turn. They're kind of helpless everywhere else. I'll try to rally that truck and try to rally that American infantry platoon. The truck, yes. The infantry platoon, yes. This American infantry platoon. He took opportunity fire, so I can't cat. 2, yes. Alright, there's about to be a last stand over there. Alright, what are the Americans doing here? We're going to max stack that hex with empty trucks. And then, ooh. I think I'm going to hold on defense. The Germans are going to take that one in the throat. They're going to, because a German artillery is going to shift. But they're not going to be able to hold it. Which means German artillery would probably better be spent over here. That'll give the Germans 2. Which means American artillery. I'm trying to decide where I'm going to put these M10s. These are now the 2 most important counters on the table right here. Because as much as I would love to send them back here and help them win this battle here in the center, if I do that, these clowns are going to swoop right back in. And you know what's going to happen. Let me get them under cover and put them on defense. God, that sounds annoying, but if Panzer Leader will teach you anything, it'll teach you discipline and patience. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Put that back where it was. Split move and fire. They're considered trucks. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's as far as I can go. The 601st is pulling off the ridge. What they have left. Remnants of the 601st are pulling off this ridge. They're going to occupy this town hex. And secure that objective a little bit. I think that concludes German turn 8. Oh, sorry, that was American turn 8. Yeah. All right, we're getting to the end stretch, guys. With all the units on this board, says Jen, they're aiming an empty truck. You never know. Sometimes it matters. Turn 9, we're in the home stretch. German artillery lands there and there. Last big German artillery whack that lands on turn 10 is going to land right on those guys with everything. That includes the Italian artillery. I'm walking away with at least 2 objective hexes, I hope. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and do my artillery for this turn. Okay, first my 13 lands here. That's going to be 4-1. You're out of here. And my 20 is going to land here at almost, yeah, there's no effect. There's no chance. 6-1 with no modifiers, a 6 will kill you. So the Americans have now lost their mortars. Ugh. Damn it. All right. Italian artillery is going to land there for now, but on the next turn, I'm putting literally everything on that hex. I need that hex emptied. And then I'm going to storm it with tanks and overrun the Americans who try to hold it. I'm going to take that second hex. So the Germans will have one for sure, and the Italians will have one for sure. That gives them 2. They're not going to retake this one. I'll send these guys in a bonsai charge down there just for fun, but I don't think they're going to take it. It's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to this little meat grinder right in the center. And that one is tense. The Germans literally have 1 extra unit. I don't even think infantry can reach it in time. I've got some infantry that might get in there, maybe an empty half-track. Bro, it's going to get tense down there. We're going to go through it nice and slow and steady and figure it out and show all the dice rolls and figure it out. This game is still too close to call. It's heavily weighted toward the Americans because the Italians have 1 objective hex here. I'm 90% sure the Germans are going to be able to take this one here. I'm 90% sure the Americans are going to be able to hold this one here. And so it's going to come down to, as well as this one. You know what? The Italians might make a rush around this one. We'll see. All right, German turn. We've done artillery. There is no air phase, so we go straight to direct fire. That op fire, they did take op fire, so he won't be able to fire this turn. All right, we're going to blast away on this X because we don't like it very much. 10, 10, 14, plus, that makes 18, that makes 24. One of them at 4-1 odds. Two, one of them is smoked. Come on, camera, give me a break, huh? It never used to do that. Let me try something here. Okay, so like I said, yeah, the 2 on the 4-to-1 table kills one of them. Yeah, the Americans are definitely going to lose that objective X. Iron Company's finally going down. I never tried to rally these 2 Germans on the German. It's the German phase now. Or I'm going to try to rally those 2. They both rally. Damn it, where were they? This guy still has full movement. 1, 2. Okay, while he's doing that, 14 versus 5 is 2-to-1. Show the camera. Pinned him down, barely. Was not visible here. 1, 2, 3. Had to do it here. These 2 guys are too far away. Meanwhile, these 2 guys know they can't reach them. All right, cool. 2 and 2, because he's too far away. No, because they're too far away, so I'm not going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Shit, the Germans might win. I think the Germans might win this. Holy crap. 14 on 14. Where the hell is my dice? Oh, get in the box. Oh, shit. That was a 1. So these 2 are smoked. That was the other M10's opportunity fire. Okay, that was important. Because on turn 10, those 2 Semoventes could have just blasted this guy and they could have just swooped in and taken the hex. I think the Americans just saved the game. Well, no, because what's going to happen is they're going to fire with their regular guns. All right, well, these guys, first of all, these guys both took opportunity fire. They're going to fire with their regular guns, and then the other stack is going to overrun. These guys have not taken opportunity fire. Okay, that kind of wraps up this little thing here. Now, alright, so no, those guys are spotted again. The only American weapon in that hex that can respond is an infantry 50 cal. which will not affect Semoventes as armor targets. Not on the platoon level. And conversely, those units are now spotted. Alright, that wraps up that little center battle group area. We did the... We did this little group over here. We did this group up here. Let's do this little mess here in the center. Took opportunity fire, can't do anything. He's dispersed, can't do anything. Let's see if we can rally that guy. 2, he does rally. But he can't fire because his attack phase was rallying. Can't overrun when he's in a waddy, and I don't want to drive through those minefields. Two to 1, add 2 to the die roll. Opportunity fire, 50 cals versus half tracks. A 3 plus 2 is 5. Did pin him down. That was important because if he didn't do that, he was going to sneak right through this because these trucks can't do anything and make a break into this backcountry. Maybe, again, it's all about whether or not we can overrun that truck. That one stupid truck is now like, I'm the most important piece on the field? What? You are for a second. Just for a second. Relax. The Germans have got you covered. Or the Americans have got you covered. I do have a plan. I don't know if it's going to work, but the Americans do have a plan. That German unit, we tried to rally him, right? And he failed, I'm assuming. Well, no, we never took out his upfire cannon. Let me give him a... I don't remember if I remember to rally him or not. I'll roll a dice. Evens, he remains pinned. Odds, he gets a chance to make a rally. Odds, he gets a chance to make a rally. Does he rally? 1, yes he does. I honestly don't remember if I rallied him or not. If the Germans just caught a break, I apologize. This is the German turn. Oh no, it would be now. Never mind. He just doesn't get to move now. Okay. Okay, wrap things up over here. Okay, here's where these guys are finally biting the big one. 6 on 6, 1-to-1 odds on one guy, on one platoon. 2, dispersed them. The battle doesn't really matter, but... And then in comes the monster cat attack. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, let me. They do get some. They do get. So I'll take a 1-to-2 opportunity attack. 5 missed. Okay, so now it's 12 versus 12. 1-to-1. Oh hell no! He's backing out of there, sending some engineers. Okay, now it's 1-to-1. Engineers in the mix becomes 2-to-1. Subtract at least 2 from the die roll, potentially 3 against that pinned down unit. A 1, it doesn't matter. That's the end of the 26th. There are enough smoke columns on this map for you. I even forgot to resolve the Italian artillery, but it didn't matter. They're wiped out. Okay, that's going to conclude Axis turn 8. Holy crap, man. Jen says, talk about pulling a VW Rabbit out of the hat. The Germans might win. The Germans came pretty close to winning the historical Battle of El Guettar. The movie makes it look like it was kind of a curb stomp. It was not. Patton was not there, not in the morning. He showed up for the second battle that took place later in the evening. Or I should say the mid-afternoon, which was nowhere near this intense. So far we're doing pretty good on history. The only really crazy thing that happened so far was that incredibly lucky German overrun. That one platoon of Mark III specialists wiped out 2 companies of M10 tank destroyers and a platoon of T-19 self-propelled howitzers. That was insane. Although these guys also pinned down 1 unit and blew up 2 Italian units over here. So there's a fair amount of luck flying on both sides on this one. The game turned bloody, I'll say that much. Oh boy. Okay, American phase now. The hell did I do with American artillery? Oh, that's right. Okay, all the American artillery is landing on these poor fools. Well, first I have to call in new artillery. All right, you know what? I'm going to call an artillery on my own position. That's risky, but it's insurance. If I still hold that hex at the beginning of American turn 10, there's a way to try to call it off. But I may blow myself up. I may blow up my own trucks with that artillery mission. All right, let's resolve our current artillery. Current artillery lands here. 60 points. I have no mortars. 60 points lands all there. That's gonna tear up some shit. It reduces to 15. 15 versus 2 is 15 to 1. You're out of there. You're out of there. 15 versus 4 is 3 to 1. He could survive. He does not survive. Germans just lost 3 platoons of tanks. Or light armor.